Welcome to the Cabrera Lab Podcast.
Hey.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good,
As
good,
Tony
good.
the Tiger used to say.
Great. That was my favorite cereal as a child. Frosted Flakes.
Oh, really?
Yes, 100%.
Goop.
I was a child.
It's still good.
Well, people fed it to me, and it was delicious. All right, I have been thinking about something this week, obviously. It's the holidays.
Yes.
So first and foremost, happy holidays to everyone. Whatever holiday you're
Celebrating.
celebrating. Whatever holiday you're celebrating, we hope it's happy.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I was thinking about, which I think about every year in the holiday season. And I think it's an interesting thing that we've talked about a little bit. Holiday stress.
Stress.
How stressful the holidays can seem to people, even though it's supposed to be a time of no stress, right? So, and we've talked a lot about that everything is a mental model, which means stress is a mental model.
Well, stress is the reaction to a mental model. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stress itself is not a mental model.
Yes, that's right. It's a feeling that comes from a thought, which is a mental model.
And the thought could be completely subconscious.
Yes.
Because people make that mistake a lot. They go, oh, well, thinking is just conscious.
That is right. So let me set the scene for you a little bit, and then we can riff on it a bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure where this is going.
So we've talked a lot about expectations, the Norman Rockwell painting of how things should be. Mm-hmm. And I know we as parents want the holiday to be perfect for our children, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves.
Yeah.
Probably unnecessarily.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be timely to talk about how we manage those kinds of thoughts, feelings, mental models, how we could think differently about them. Mm-hmm. Like how do we challenge, how do we identify what the mental model is that's leading to the stressful feeling? Mm-hmm. And then once we know what that mental model is, what can we do to change it maybe?
Yeah.
And increase our joy.
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes call this the Norman Rockwell effect, but for new generations that don't know who Norman Rockwell is, he was a classic Americana painter.
Yes.
He would paint classic American, Thanksgiving dinner or on the street with the mailman, the kid hanging out or something like that. But idyllic American life, basically.
Perfect.
Portraits.
Yeah.
But I also call it the wedding effect.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly because, as an example, weddings are especially for women. There's something that you think about as a young girl.
Yeah.
It's part of what you think about.
We're indoctrinated into
Maybe you're indoctrinated
yes.
to think about it. I don't think it necessarily has to do with gender or anything like that. But we're indoctrinated to think about our wedding. Yeah. And I think young girls think about their wedding, and they think about it so much that when they actually get to their wedding day, nothing can compare to the image. And when we say image, I mean a mental model that has images associated with it. The mental model or the image that they have in their head of what their wedding day is supposed to be and ideally will be inevitably falls short of what it is, because reality is messy and, the
Things
caterer
happen.
doesn't show up and, we had a hurricane on our wedding. So, in the Northeast, which is not a common
So our
event.
beautiful outdoor wedding became a very quick, wet indoor wedding.
Yeah,
Yes.
And our tent blew away and all that. But so when our expectations or our mental model of some idyllic Norman Rockwell-esque or this kind of wedding effect, when those don't match with reality, you can have things like stress, you can have things like disappointment, you can have all kinds of different emotions, even anger, things like that, as a result of the mismatch. Now, here's the important part.
Yeah.
You're comparing reality to fiction.
Yes.
So you can say, well, I'm disappointed because this is not like this.
Right.
But you have to follow up with, and this isn't real. And this is.
Right.
So you're comparing something that is real to something that is not real.
It's kind of like the Barbie effect for young women.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Where we think we all should have disproportionately long, thin legs that are humanly possible.
Absolutely.
And
yeah,
ankles.
Barbie's actually anatomically impossible. She's not just rare.
Yeah.
She's anatomically, physically impossible. If you actually were a human that had Barbie's features, your head would be so heavy that it would snap your neck. Your neck would be so thin and your head would be so large that your head would just break off. Your torso wouldn't have enough room to contain your organs.
It's kind of a problem.
You would snap at the ankles and the knees because your knees were so
she's very narrow
biomechanically.
knees.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we can put that image up. We've done an image, I think, in our book or something about the, just the fiction of Barbie. And yet that mental model is influential to young girls, young boys,
everywhere,
everybody. But it's a mental model. It's not real. It's not. And a lot of people make the mistake of like Barbie is an unrealistic expectation. But they think like not many people can aspire to that.
It is possible.
Zero number of people can aspire to that. It is physiologically, biomechanically impossible.
I mean, I think maybe a contemporary example is Martha Stewart. Mm-hmm. Martha Stewart magazine, everything is perfect. Like the holiday table is perfect. The tree is perfectly decorated. The lights are equally distanced. There's color themes.
And she has a staff of like hundreds, right? So
and a bazillion dollars.
And a bazillion dollars to put it together.
But that's what we all look at. We look at these magazines and I was like, and I think about our holiday table. And I was talking to my very good friend Tommy yesterday, and she had just put up her tree. And we were talking about basically tree envy, like that other people have beautiful trees. And she said, you know what? She said, at some point, if it's up, it's got lights on it, and my kids' favorite ornaments are on it, she's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good. And think about that.
Yeah.
Part of that is like loving the reality of what matters to her kids is that their ornaments from over the years are on it.
Totally.
She doesn't care. She sort of
think about your own memories of holidays. You don't remember whether everything was perfect. You remember whether
people were
it
there.
felt good. It felt good to be in the comfort of your home with your family or something like that.
Yeah. Or that rare year where you got a bicycle that you'd wanted for a whole year or something.
Right.
You remember those kinds of things. But we set ourselves up.
Yeah, I mean, the other piece is, and this probably won't be popular, and I'm sure a lot of people will just think I'm insane. I don't even believe in holidays.
Well, we should elaborate on what you mean by that.
I just think that holidays are good reminders of doing stuff that you should do every day.
Yeah.
But the problem is they start to replace the things that you should be doing every day. So like I really don't believe in Valentine's Day. I think you should do that kind of stuff every day. You should make sure that your behavior is loving every day.
And we talked about that before we got married, actually.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? We had a conversation about Valentine's Day, and I said, look, I'll trade chocolates once a year for loving each other every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the moment?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
People think we're a little crazy.
I think it's sane. I think the alternative, a lot of times the norm is what's insane.
True.
And so we have to just be careful that the appreciation, the thanks that we have on Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. Maybe we should have that every day. Maybe we should appreciate things every day. Mm-hmm. The newness that we have on New Year's. Yeah. Maybe we should have that every day. Family orientation that we have on Christmas or the holidays, or Thanksgiving,
or Mother's Day,
Father's Day.
Appreciate your
parents every day. That would be good. And birthdays are the worst because, first of all, you didn't do anything on your birthday. Your mother did, right? So you should really send your mother flowers because
I do on my birthday.
She's the one that did all the work, and you just kind of sat there.
You did nothing. Really.
At the very least, I don't think we're gonna say that people are gonna go away from holidays. But at the very least, you can sort of think about it as holidays are reminders that we should be doing these things every day. And there's nothing really particularly special about that particular day. And so it doesn't need to be perfect. And reality is always, in a way, perfect.
Well, okay, so I'm going to push on that a little bit because I have struggled with this over the years around holidays and events where I start out wanting everything to be perfect. I have it in my mind the way I want it. Why smile? You know how it ends up.
I do every time.
Every time. But so part of it is undoing. There was a moment where I think you helped me with it, where it was a holiday and I was just whirling dervish, stressed, and I had not, and the holiday is for everybody. And you said, what? Let's take a minute. Like, what's going on here? And I'm like, well, I need to have 10 types of cookies. And I need, every bow to have a matching ribbon on every present. And I need this and I need that. And you were just like, whoa, like, are you sure you need all that? Like,
is that what's important?
Do we really need 10 kinds of cookies?
Yeah.
And it's, it's just, so you can get yourself in these moments where you're spinning because you have, like you were saying, this expectation of something. Yes, it's real. I could bake 10 kind of cookies.
Yeah, and again,
why?
if baking 10 kinds of cookies brings you joy, then bake away, But if you're doing it to meet some mental model of a picture that you have that is communicating some other message to people or some other message to yourself, it's better to love reality and be clear and be metacognitive about, well, what am I trying to communicate? That I'm perfect? Because I'm not. That's a lie. And am I trying to communicate that I just always have my shit together? Because you don't, because you're human. So we all know that's a lie. So maybe we don't have to do that. Maybe we don't have to communicate that because it's inauthentic. And maybe we don't have to live to that ideal. Maybe we can just enjoy having a good conversation or even having a bad conversation. Like, sometimes, I mean, we talk about our wedding. The first thing we remember is the hurricane. We remember the tent coming down. And we remember you tripping on the stairs and almost breaking your ankle.
I stepped on a hornet.
Those are the things you remember from the day. Among other things, you remember those things. So, I don't remember whether the candles were straight or, whether the flowers were perfect.
Here's what's interesting, actually, about what you just said. And I wonder if we could extrapolate it to this whole idea. So there was a moment where we were standing looking out the window and the rain was pounding down. And all of a sudden, a 160-foot tent flips and goes probably, half a mile into our woods. And I think that was the moment where we realized, I think this happens a lot. There's a moment where reality just kind of smacks you.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, by the way, there's a hurricane. You might want to adjust to that.
Yeah, there were trees coming down in our yard, like big trees.
Right, but extrapolate that.
Car-crushing trees coming down in our yard.
People showed up to our wedding in wellies.
Yeah.
And dresses. You remember? Yeah. But what I'm saying is, if we look at that in the wider picture, there's a moment, because that's the moment where you and I were like, oh, or maybe me, you were probably.
This is going to change things.
I should probably adapt to this fact, which is there's a hurricane.
Well, I love that you said that because adapt is the key word. Yeah. And that kind of brings it home to, what we do. Just the ability to adapt is just one of the most remarkable abilities. And it is an ability that you can cultivate. It's an ability you can build. It's an ability you can practice. Mm-hmm. And you could say that it's like, oh, well, you're going to have higher performance and you're going to be better at your job and better as a parent and better as this. And that's all true. But you know what you're going to be better at? Among all those things, you're going to be better at being happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to be better at being happy because you can adapt. You can, and I think maybe that's something that early on as a mountaineer I learned because, mountaineers spend a lot of time in misery and you find a way to experience joy in miserable situations. Otherwise, you're just going to be miserable all the time because you're either cold or wet or, can't breathe or whatever. And things inevitably don't go exactly the way you want them to go. Mm-hmm. And so you learn that either this trip is going to be a nightmare,
Yeah.
or I'm going to learn to enjoy by adapting to the situation.
Yeah.
And so I think you can think about adaptation and mental fitness and thinking and all these different things we talk about as being, again, you're going to increase your performance, your speed, your whatever, but you're also going to increase your joy.
Because you're going to reduce your disappointment in yourself, in the situation, and whatever you blame it on or think about. Adaptation happened the moment the mental model changed.
Totally. And this, by the way, this is not a new thing. The Buddha talked about this. All life is suffering. And that suffering comes from our mental models. It comes from the disappointment that you're talking about. It comes from this mismatch. Mm-hmm. That's what it comes from. It comes from the mismatch. It doesn't come from reality.
No.
It comes from the mismatch of how things are and how you want them to be.
Yeah.
Right? Or how you think they should be ideally.
This episode is sponsored by Training Camp, the ultimate online spot for building the mental fitness that drives personal and professional change and success. At Training Camp, you'll have access to the science and practice of thinking with personalized thinking assessments, tiered training, and best of all, practice that improves skill. Go to cabreralab.org to learn more. And now, back to the episode.
We always had a saying, which is if you have 1 foot in yesterday, 1 foot in tomorrow, you're going to piss all over today. Or another one is stop shooting over everything. Don't shoot.
Well, because it sets up those expectations that are unrealistic, unrealistic meaning they're not based in reality.
They're not real, yeah.
They're not based in reality, which then sets you up for this constant cycle of disappointment and then thinking something's wrong with you. I'm not speaking from personal experience, obviously. But, there's a moment where, I don't know, there's a moment where you can start to see, I think part of it is knowing that there's a thought that precedes a feeling and then going back and thinking, well, what am I thinking? Like, I'm not a good enough mom if I don't make 10 cookies on Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, just say that out loud.
Say it out loud. That's absolutely right. Like be metacognitive about what it is you're what your internal voice is saying. Because if you say it out loud, you're going to be like, okay, that's nuts.
Or just picture your friend saying it. And
totally.
You'd be like,
are you nuts? Like that. And the thing is, we often don't say those things out loud, but we keep saying them quietly. Mm-hmm. And so we live by them. Yeah. We get disappointed by them. We get stressed by them. We get anxious by them. We get grumpy by them, and we behave by them. Yeah. And if you just said them out loud, like, what am I? I'm trying to be perfect. Then you're like, what? What is perfection? Really?
Why?
Is that what we're looking for?
I don't know. It's a little nuts. I remember I told you this story. I was part of a book club, and we had just read Flow, the book Flow.
Yeah.
Which was my recommendation. And Csikszentmihalyi has a great passage about stress and how it's like we create it.
Yep.
We create it. And it was ironic because I was driving to the book club meeting about that book, which had that passage about stress. And I remember I'm trying to put on eyeliner. I'm driving like 80 miles an hour down a 40-mile-an-hour road, trying to be on time for this book club. And I was remembering that passage because I wanted to talk about it in the book club. I'm like, oh, shit, like I'm actually doing this right now. So I was like, okay, let's slow down. Yeah. Let's maybe pull over if we're going to be putting things in our eyes as we're driving. And I had a moment and it just sort of gelled at that moment that, like you're saying, we behave it. It becomes our behavior over time. All of these mismatches become disappointments and expectations. And
that's something that I think folks have a difficult time getting their head around, ironically, because it's their head that's doing it. But that there are these mental models, and not all of them are conscious. A lot of them are subconscious. A lot of them we have, but we don't even know we have them. And they directly drive behavior, right? So and if we change those mental models, the behavior changes. Mm-hmm. The trick is, one, expose those mental models to the light of metacognition, of awareness. Yeah. And two, then you can kind of think about, oh, do I really want to hold on to this thing? Because it's kind of this one's kind of, nutso. So let's change it. and then when you change it, the behavior changes. So if you want to change behavior, we have to look at the mental model that's driving the behavior. And when I say look at the mental model, that makes it sound like it's there to be looked at. And the problem, a lot of times the problem is, it's subconscious. We don't even know the mental model exists. And that's why metacognition is so important, is that you've got to kind of shine a light on it, expose it to the light of day, and then you go, oh, yeah, this is weird. I can't believe this is what's driving my thinking, right? And then let's change that mental model and change the behavior. And that behavior could be anxiety, it could be stress, it could be,
general craziness.
Whatever.
And when I said say it out loud, I'm being literal. Like if you say it out loud to yourself, and if that doesn't do it, then say it out loud to another human who would say, that is insane. Why would you think that? Right? And I have friends that we talk about self-talk and all of this a lot. So how do we manage our holiday stress?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is kind of the enjoy your shitty holiday episode, right? Like
expected.
Not expected, but again, if it brings you joy to try to reach like a tree that is beautiful and has, like every year I try to put more lights on the tree because I think the number of white lights is pretty. The tree's like, help me. But, I enjoy the look of it, but I don't get stressed out about, so if it's an enjoyment goal, great, enjoy the heck out of it. But if it's causing you stress and like negative talk and you're barking at the dog and,
barking at
the children or whatever, question that mental model and just think about what's really important, what really matters in this holiday or in this day.
In your life,
every day.
Yeah.
What really matters? Let's look at it from the perspective of what really matters. And what do I care about? And do I care about looking like I have my shit together all the time and being perfect when I'm not?
Yeah.
Or do I just like, those moments where we're just hanging out and having a great conversation and maybe there's a plate of Twinkies next to the
Twinkies are the worst on the planet. Why would you say Twinkies?
I know. I'm just saying, like, what if, like, you couldn't get dessert or the souffle exploded or what? I don't know how souffles explode, but let's say it exploded. Yeah. Don't souffles explode or something? They fall.
They collapse.
Right? Say the souffle. I don't even know is souffle something people serve on Christmas?
No, not unless you're like.
Let's say souffle was like it's something that you
made regularly,
and it collapsed, and you were forced to go down to like the Quick Mart, and all they had on the morning of the 25th was Twinkies. You know what? You would remember that. You'd remember the beautiful ham or the beautiful turkey. And then the beautiful platter of Twinkies that were served. Like,
it'd be a fun story.
It'd be a fun story.
It'd be a story of endurance.
It's okay. And you might even serve them in the plastic bags just for the effect of ripping open that plastic bag.
But if you take them out of plastic, it doesn't make a difference. They're so preserved.
Yeah,
they're not going to go rotten.
There's
not a single natural ingredient.
No, I think they would survive They're like
the cockroaches of food.
They are the cockroaches of food. Yes,
they
will survive everything. By who? The Twinkie Confederation.
People come after us for talking badly about Twinkies.
If Twinkies are my enemy, then I'm doing something right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I will tell you, we've solved the cookie problem.
What's the cookie problem?
Well, if you think about it, I don't know if you remember, but in the very beginning, I used to make like 12 types of cookies for Christmas. And because my mother, I realized the origin part, my mother would make like 15 types of cookies and they were beautiful.
So you brought it down to 12.
So at my first stage of crazy as a younger mother, I would try
17.
12. No, not 17.
She made 15 though.
Yeah, I went lower.
So you went lower.
Because I had babies and they didn't have, But she would have these beautiful cookies, all different shapes and sizes with different frostings.
So your mother was more perfect than you.
No.
Because she made 15.
I'm saying I had that faulty mental model.
Oh, but you brought it down
I
to
brought
12.
it down to 12. But then I evolved my mental model, as we should. No.
This one goes to 11.
No. Then I brought it down to like 8.
8.
And I thought
cookies.
8 was good, except one year I was finishing up something really late and I was like 8. And I had this
Panic
and sense of dread.
over cookies.
And then I did what you said.
Yeah.
Take a minute, think about the thought that precedes that feeling. And I was like, we don't need 8 types of cookies.
But what's the thought? Is the thought 8?
That I would
8 is
disappoint
great.
people. No, that I would disappoint people and look like I'm not, festive enough.
So you thought like if people come to the house, they walk in, they see the cookie platter, they count the number of cookies.
She sucks.
Anything less than 8,
She sucks.
I'm out of here.
That's why I say you say it out loud. Because then you know it's crazy.
This place is bullshit. There's only 7 cookies.
No, not 7 cookies. 7 types.
7 types of cookies, right?
Very
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Because you make a dozen or 2 of each type. That's
Yeah.
how nuts it is. You make
Yeah.
like 1,000. Like, no. What's 7 times 12? 96? It is 96.
Yeah.
No, it's not 96. It's 84.
84, sorry.
Damn. I thought I was so good at math.
Yeah.
See? Another one of those. But here's the point. Now, we had a conversation. We had a family meeting about the cookie problem a few years ago, if you remember. And
I don't remember that.
I said,
meeting.
look, I don't think we
can't
need to
say
make
it
8
ranked
types
up
of
there.
cookies. And you know what we landed on? Everybody chose their favorite cookie, and we made 5 types of cookies. And that was it. And so everybody had the cookie that they associated with Christmas, which made me feel like I fulfilled their obligations. And then 5 types of cookies I can do. That's easy.
If I was in charge of Christmas, I would make a tortilla
Oh, God, not that.
with cheese, ketchup, and oregano.
No, those are disgusting.
Those are mountain pizzas.
Horrible. Tortillas are goop.
Yeah, no, they are. I'm not advocating tortillas, but I'm just saying that's what I used to eat, like in college, because I could make it. I could cook that.
It's a good thing that we met.
Yeah.
Because I can cook and you help me with the crazy. So we solved the cookie problem. And I'm very proud of us for that. Mostly me because I was the problem.
I didn't know. Yeah, we solved the Laura problem. It wasn't really a cookie problem.
No, that's
It was a
not.
Laura mental model problem.
That's not a Laura problem.
No, it's a Laura mental model problem.
Yeah, you should.
Distinctions matter.
I know they do. And then we solved the wrapping paper problem.
What is?
Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, that's a problem.
It was a problem.
That's a problem because we need like another house for the wrapping paper. There's so much of it.
Because I would have a different wrapping paper, ribbon and bows, and
For
tag
each
combos for
person.
each person so they
Yeah.
could tell which gift was theirs. That was crazy.
Because the little card that says their name on it isn't enough.
Well, I'm just saying if you can uncover these things and have a conversation with somebody,
If you can unwrap them, as it were. Yeah.
you don't have to feel super stressed all the time because you can think about the reality of, like you said, what matters. Like nobody actually cares what wrapping paper they have.
Well, and there's systemic knock-on effects to the wrapping problem because, I mean, that knock-on is like a, systems idea.
Yeah, I know.
Which is that because you need so many different wrapping papers, you have to buy them whenever they're available and all year long. And you have to have hundreds of rolls at any given time
But
of
they're on
wrapping paper,
sale.
which then means that you need a storage facility for the wrapping paper and organizing systems for all the things that you need for each individual type of person's present, which is a logistical nightmare that is not necessary.
But in my defense,
Yes.
75% off 4 days after Christmas. Why wouldn't you buy them? 75%.
Because it's 25% on.
And you have to store them
Yes.
for an entire 11 months.
We're paying for storage. We're paying for square footage.
Okay, but we've solved that problem now too.
Yes.
We just buy what we need,
Yes.
and it's one paper. And everybody's fine because we can all read the text.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, if you bring these things out and you change, you make sure you check when you're having that moment where you're feeling like, oh, something's not working, check your mental model, because that's usually the problem that's causing the behavior that you're having, that feeling. That's how you have a happy holiday.
So,
yes,
I think we covered it.
We did.
And this will be the enjoy your shitty holiday episode. No. I just mean that as like a
embrace reality.
Embrace your
during the holiday season.
Reality holiday.
Yes, that's better.
That's a wrap.
Oh, wait. We're back. What are you wearing?
What do you mean, what am I wearing?
What is that?
It's my special holiday crown.
Holiday crown.
Yes, it's time to be festive. It's time to start thinking about celebrating the end of the year.
Nice.
And the holidays. And so I've dressed for it, as always. I do this for everyone.
I love it.
You know what it means.
What does it mean?
We really need to thank, from the bottom of our hearts, all of the people who have been listening and commenting to the podcast. So we have a gift for them.
A gift?
We do.
What is it?
We want to give them the gift of thinking.
The gift of thinking.
Which means there will be a special QR code and a discount code available to podcast viewers only, which gives them a significant discount off of the Blue Belt course, which is a big course.
Yeah, that is a big course.
So they're going to save a lot of money.
And that's a great course. That really, you'll develop really top-notch skills in that course.
Well,
so they can give it as a gift to anybody.
You can share the discount code, share the QR code. We want to spread the love of thinking.